We are back with the Buffalonian Podcast for another edition of Betting on the Bills for the Panthers game preview. I'm Joe Cali. As always, I'm joined by none other than Dom Lawson. Dom, it feels like a quiet couple weeks for the Bills just because of the bye week, of course, and not having a winning record in the past 3 games, but they look to improve against Carolina. They looked to Sean McDermott was, he was in the press conference earlier this week saying, I was itching to get back in there. Like, he feels like something was off, so he wants to fix it. All the players, you hear Deion Dawkins talking about Hoyt and Ogunjobi. It's like, the 2 guys who forgot their IDs and then they show back up and like, oh my God, they're here. They're in the club with, they got their IDs. Like, just the vibes are like kind of there. Josh Allen's talking about his grandma up on the podium. Just all good feelings around the Bills right now. On an internal basis. On an external basis, a lot of questions. Again, still the same calls for the head coach's head, general manager's head, which we do not condone, by the way. We're not on that train like we were a couple of years ago. And just, questions about what they can do. Why haven't they added certain things? I know that the buys earlier. That's one thing. The whole Amari Cooper trade was like a year ago, right? But the buy for them is earlier, so they have time before the trade deadline. So they might still make a move. You just have to wait and see. But for the Bills matchup against the Panthers, listen, Dom, there's a little worry in me here. What did the Panthers do against the Falcons? Put up 30 to zip. They shut them out. It's a week-to-week league. I'm not saying that'll be the same case.
Week-to-week league. That's absolutely correct. I think we saw that with the Falcons, their ability to win at home.
Yeah.
Versus they went to San Francisco last week and lost by 10 points.
Yeah, they did.
It really is a week-to-week league. I'm excited, though, for the game. I've missed Bills football.
I have, too.
Being on the bye, it's like you get that one Sunday of red zone, a little bit more because the Bills go on primetime, but it's like, all right, after the game's over, it's like, man, really missed not having a Bills game this week.
I know. And a
After
lot of these games,
bad football.
Right. There were some stinkers, but the nice thing is the Bills will be featured in red zone quite a bit upcoming. They've one primetime game against the Texans on Thursday night, and realistically, it's 1:00 and 4:25 starts for the Bills for a good chunk of time here, which will be.
They have a lot of 4:25s.
They do. One
right, Kansas City. I think Cincinnati is.
Yeah, the Bengals,
Philadelphia,
Eagles.
and Pittsburgh.
Yeah, so those will be some good games at 4:25. I'm looking forward to those. The late nights are fun and all, but I'm glad we got those out of the way relatively early. But looking just at this game on the surface before we get into the nitty gritty here, the Panthers have been like terrible in the first half in a lot of games, and they kind of make their way back into games. Like the Miami game sticks out in my mind. Like they could be frisky, absolutely, even if they're down. They have a running back, 2 running backs. I mean, Chuba Hubbard. We don't know what's going. Chuba, however you say his name. What's going on there? Rico Dowdle has been electric the past couple weeks. They had him alternating drives with Hubbard last week, and they were held to very minimal margins on the ground. But the Bills' tendency to let some explosive runs go might lead you to think, one of those 2 guys could have a day. How are you feeling about this game on the surface, though, before we dive into offensive, defensive game plans, X factors, yada, yada, the whole 9 yards?
I feel confident. I think this is not quite I think Carolina's fine. I don't know how good they are with like their record. They're over 500, but it's like, all right, you beat the Jets last week. They didn't have Garrett Wilson. Miami is a complete dumpster fire of a team. Dallas was actually a pretty good one. I'll give them credit for that one. But obviously but they've also had some, bad games as well. Bryce Young's not going to play in this one. It's going to be Andy Dalton, which I don't know how much that helps the Bills or hurts the Bills. It's kind of like, I think some of it is like, I think Bryce Young has a higher ceiling than Andy Dalton because he can move around and
for sure
be mobile, make some plays. But I also think maybe Andy Dalton might be a little bit more consistent than
Does
Bryce
he get
Young.
a big? Oh no, never mind. They're in Carolina. I was going to say if they were here, wonder if he gets the ovation from the Bills.
No, he probably
fans.
would. But yeah, I mean, I think for the Bills in this game, being favorites on the road, getting some reinforcements back, I don't know. I'm intrigued to see the new guys. I'm intrigued to see what is new off the bye. Do we see some playing time reduced for some players? Do we see an uptick in playing time for some others? So
some scheme
I think
shifts,
that's what the
maybe.
intriguing thing is. I also think it's intriguing to see what the injury stuff is all about, right?
Yeah.
Like, Josh Palmer and Daquan Jones have both been ruled out. So, like, both those guys, even though having the week of bye, aren't able to go, which is unfortunate.
Mhm.
Maybe that shows how the severity of their injuries are. But the fact that they didn't put them on IR, right, is maybe a good sign. I mean, we saw them not put Ed Oliver in IR, and he still missed 4 games. But so that's something to look at. Taylor Rapp is being placed on IR.
Yeah.
That was the breaking news today, is that not only is he going to be ruled out for the game, but he's going to be put on IR, which I think is crazy, man. I just really do. I think that is stunning that he's had a knee injury since training camp. And honest to God, I think that concerns me more. Because, like, the Bills are really conservative with injuries. Again, we saw that with Ed Oliver, like him, maybe he could have played the week. And
even Tyler Bass, they're being so conservative with Bass even coming back as well.
Bass must be seriously injured because he hasn't practiced. But, like, my thing is this, is that, like, if you knew he had this knee injury and you knew he just simply wasn't, like, Taylor Rapp was not right all year.
No.
Anyone worth the salt could have told you that.
We're trying to figure out what exactly the issue is because he just doesn't look like he has in the past 2 years. He looks terrible.
But you know what the problem is for me, man?
What?
Is if they knew that, they're always conservative for injury, and they know he wasn't playing up to their standard. It took you 6 weeks to make a decision that he should be on IR?
Yeah, it's a little absurd.
Though, Joe. What does that tell you about what they think about the guys behind them?
That's exactly where my head went.
That's what I'm a little concerned about. Like, what? I mean,
it's
come
not
on
good.
now.
It's not good. They're not high on the guy. They're not high on Jordan Poyer, which I don't think anybody is.
Or Jordan Hancock. They
Or
don't
Jordan
think he's
Hancock.
ready, and maybe they didn't know if Poyer was really physically ready and they needed some workup time. But come on, 6 weeks is a month and a half.
Yeah, that's bad. It's not a good look. We've trashed on Taylor Rapp a little bit because he's been abysmal this season. Little bit of a reason as to why injury doesn't help, but yeah, well, wish him a speedy recovery. But like, what are we doing here? Why did it take so long to get him on injured reserve? And I guess you're right. It's got to be the guys behind him. They didn't know if Poyer was going to be ready, up to snuff to go. It makes sense now bringing back Poyer though when they did. You know what I mean?
Exactly,
but it all kind of makes sense now.
But this is a new system to Poyer. Like my thing will be this. I think this will be interesting to see is, he is going to miss at least 4 games.
Yeah, on IR, yeah.
Kind of what happens when he comes back. Like, is that starting spot his? Or, like, if Poyer plays well or Hancock, they haven't said who's going to be the safety opposite.
Cam Lewis.
Maybe they would have made a decision if Damar Hamlin didn't get injured and had to go on IR.
You know what? That might be the big thing. Maybe Taylor Rapp's out before the bye week on IR
But that to me is the confusing part too, though, Joe, is that, like, if you could have known after, like, the first couple of weeks that he just wasn't right.
Yeah.
Was not the same player. Why didn't you put him on IR
and put DeMar out there when he was healthy?
And have DeMar out there, but then DeMar got, I can't remember, I thought he got injured at the Saints game.
Pectoral injury.
I can't remember what week he got injured, but, like, what was the whole point of bringing DeMar back? Of, like, he was kind of a below average safety, like what you were getting of Rapp, but, like, he's not injured at the time.
Mm-hmm.
I just find this whole thing to be really bizarre. Like, I think we all thought this was like a soft benching at first, and now that the fact that he has to go on IR,
yeah,
I mean,
the IR is the scary part.
I just don't understand what they were doing with this.
I don't either. It came as a shock to pretty much everybody, you and me included. I don't know, like you said, the starting job is going to be interesting when he does come back. Do they go get a safety before the trade deadline? Like, do they do that? Like, I don't know. Now,
I mean, maybe you have to. I mean, what they're talking about that they had 52 roster spots,
right?
And they're like, oh, we're going to sign Poyer to be the 53rd. It's like, well, now you got 51.
Yeah.
And it's like, is that just Harrison? I don't know. Harrison looked pretty good, but I don't think they're going to play him.
The speed is showing from the video.
He still has the brace. I don't think he's going to play for the next 2 weeks. But
probably not. Then they'll be hopefully conservative on that injury because I don't want him re-injuring or anything like that.
But I don't know. I'm shocked.
It's pretty bizarre. Pretty bizarre, especially like you said, the Bills have a good track record of being pretty good about handling injuries, and this seems like a mishandling for them, what they did. But before we get into the offensive, defensive breakdown, We do have to take a quick time out for a word from our sponsors. We'll be right back with more of the Buffalonian Podcast right after this. Welcome back into the Buffalonian Podcast. We're talking about the absurdity on the defense of Taylor Rapp going on injured reserve, and then now what do they do? What do they do other than Jordan Poyer? Do they get one? We'll have to wait and see on that. The trade deadline is going to come up quick now that we're back out of the bye week. Things are going to just be churning and burning, I feel like, through the season. But looking at this Panthers game in specifics now, the Bills' offense, I mean, the past couple games they played has not been the best showing for them by any means. So they're looking to remedy that, of course. Against the Panthers defense that I think they could take okay advantage of, absolutely. Will this be a pass-heavy attack? Will this be a run-heavy attack? Dom, what are your thoughts on what the Bills need to game plan here offensively? What should the game script be looking like?
I think the Bills need to do what they do best, which is they need to run the ball effectively. They need to get into heavy personnel and play action.
Yeah.
Like, for me, it's like, I don't want to see J.C. Horn versus Keon Coleman. I don't want to see plays that's like, all right, like, that's like less than a 40% chance of even being a positive play. Like, why are we running that? Right? Like, I want to see them be able to assert themselves on the ground. Carolina's done a pretty decent job against the run at times, but you saw Javonte Williams. Like, Dallas is kind of like the offense you want to see, like the offensive day that they had, right? Javonte Williams is really explosive on the ground.
Yeah.
You saw George Pickens make some really explosive big plays. Unfortunately, I don't think the Bills quite have a receiver like Pickens, so I think that's where it gets a little difficult, but I think the Bills have a tight end like Jake Ferguson. Jake Ferguson had a monster day against Carolina. You saw the Walrus, Darren Waller, have a big game, especially in the first half, and they keyed on him in the second half against Miami. So Carolina has been terrible at defending tight ends all year. They're literally the worst team in the NFL. And I think the Bills have a very complete tight end room.
They do.
And this is where it comes down to, we've been loving this guy up. But I have to say, man, if Dalton Kincaid does not play, which he seems to be questionable, limited all week, same kind of thing as the last game against Atlanta, he didn't play, like, that's just a huge bite, man. And we saw that against Atlanta when they kind of needed someone to be that short outlet for Josh who could catch and make some plays with the ball in his hand. They didn't really have that with Kincaid out. And this is a team that you can punish their linebackers and safeties in coverage. Again, literally the 32 out of 32 in terms of defense against tight ends. Like, could be a massive Dalton Kincaid game, and if he misses it, Knox and Haas, like, okay, I just feel like your advantage isn't quite there with those two players.
Kincaid is the X factor. Spoiler alert. That's if he plays, that's who it's going to be. And without him, they take a big hit on. He's your most effective receiver in what you've seen the past couple weeks. Look at the Atlanta game. Realistically, he was the big guy. The Patriots game. Dalton Kincaid was the big reason you were in that Patriots game. He was making things happen. Losing him again would be an absolute nightmare. You want to see him out there. You want to see him healthy because he really does change the face of your offense and adds that extra dimension where Dawson Knox sure can catch a pass in the end zone. He's a big red zone guy. Jackson Hawes, we've seen him catch a couple passes, but not with the acuity that Dalton Kincaid is capable of. So Kincaid and being healthy on the offense is an absolute must-have for the Bills to really be able to put this game out of reach quick. I think play action is the key. Like you said it. The Bills do their best when they're running play action. Because when the run's going, Allen's good at pretty much faking out whether he hands it off or not. If the run is going, so you establish the run, then you get play action going throughout, that offense is going to be humming. And I guess that's the big thing. It's just take advantage of that and if I could put one message out there to Joe Brady, it would be this. The Patriots game, right? What were you trying to do the entire time? Trying to run the ball. It wasn't working, right? The Atlanta game. What were you doing? Trying to pass. You ran a couple times. Guess what? It was working. What'd you go away from? The run. You started passing. Find something that works and stick with it. I think if you get something early that you can just take advantage of this Panthers defense, stick with it. Don't try and pivot to something else. I don't really care about the downfield passing. I don't really care if the running the ball is working. Pound the shit out of that rock. That's all I got to say. That's my thought on just stick to what works. Find something that works and stick to it. Easier said than done.
I think it has to be a heavy dose of the tight ends and James Cook in this game.
Yeah.
And I'd like to see maybe some screen passes, maybe get the running backs out in space, force Carolina to go tackle you, which I think they struggle with. So, yeah, I don't think the Bills had an advantage wide receiver really on their corners, especially J.C. Horn. But we'll see. Shakir in the slot, I think, could have a big game as well. Again, the X factor is to see if Kincaid plays or not. But, I mean, we'll see. If he doesn't go, it has to be a big Dawson Knox or Jackson Haas game. Like, those guys are going to have better games than they played Monday night against Atlanta. Absolutely.
This offense feels Chiefs-ish from 2 years ago, does it not? Like Mahomes and Kelsey? Like that's what this feels like. Like you need Allen to Kincaid. It's going to be interesting to see how that develops over time. But defensively, this is where I'm a little nervous. I'm not going to lie to you. Okay, the Bills' run defense is what scares me. We might get a better look at what it really is with Hoyt and Ogunjobi, though. We have no tape on them. We have no idea what they're going to look like other than preseason against backups. So can't really predict that. But the Bills rank 31st in run defense in the NFL. So Rico Dowdle, who's been playing really well, right? Yeah, they were alternating last week, didn't have the best game, but Chuba Hubbard healthy as well. Those two guys might be able to be a 1-2 punch to this Bills defense and be able to score some points. So I think this is going to be a big upfront game. Andy Dalton's going to make mistakes. We saw that last year in Carolina, right? Because he ended up getting benched and then Bryce Young gets put in, right? Or he got like injured, right? And Bryce Young went back in.
I think he got hit in the car accident and broke a rib.
Never mind. Just totally. I did not know that. So, but anyway, Bryce Young comes back in and does play better. But Andy Dalton, before any of that happened, was not playing to the best. That team was still not great. So you can take advantage of an older Andy Dalton for sure. He's going to make some mistakes. But up front, just make him feel uncomfortable and be able to stop that run. You're going to have to, because these two running backs are going to take advantage of you. And that might be a big, from the new guys coming in, that might be a big change. Who knows? Deion Walker, keep it up. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be interesting. I think things to look for is who starts opposite Cole Bishop, which I think the betting favorite would be Jordan Poyer.
Yeah.
Right? How much reps do Ogunjobi and Hoyt get? How does that impact the D-line room? It's going to be interesting to see who's the fourth defensive tackle, because obviously Daquan's been ruled out. So I don't know what they do quite there. I mean, it's going to be Ed, it's going to be Deion Walker, it's going to be Larry Up, and then, who's the fourth? Another practice squad, which is unfortunate, but hopeful that we see a better Ed Oliver, too. I mean, he wasn't, I don't think, terrible against Atlanta, but like another, got some reps on the ankle, then was able to rest it for about 2 weeks, so he should be looking a little bit better. Interesting to see what happens to Joey Bosa's snap count again with Hoyt coming back. What happens to Epenesa's snap count?
Bosa's had a pretty high snap count, so I mean, I almost
hope
it'll go down a little bit to save him a little bit. So he's not
just to see what kind of wrinkles Hoyt allows the defense to do. He could play linebacker. He could also play the edge. So
yeah,
I'm interested in that. I think. Carolina doesn't have a lot of great skill position players outside their running backs. Ted McMillan is a monster at receiver, which isn't a great matchup, I think, for these, the Bills corners, usually physical receivers like an A.J. Brown or like a Tat the ability to have the jump ball effect. Moss, the DBs, isn't great. But outside of that, Legette's been mostly disappointed. Renfro hasn't been too good. Coker just had his first game, so
yeah, he didn't get any reception.
I don't know if I'd be too scared to not just play some man coverage against these Panthers receivers and make Andy Dalton throw into tight windows. Listen, at the end of the day, Andy Dalton is a below average quarterback.
Yeah.
Right? And I think with Bryce Young, you had at least, I think he's a below average quarterback. Bryce Young at least has some mobility, and I think has the ability to play off script and raise the ceiling, where we saw against Dallas him make big time plays with his extending plays. We saw when they played the Eagles or the Chiefs last year, like his ability to make some plays, outside of structure. I don't think you're going to get that from Andy Dalton. And that's why I really like the Bills' D-line this week, getting after Dalton, getting some sacks, forcing him to make some rush throws that could lead to some turnovers. So, yes, I'm concerned about the run defense. However, I just have, I said this earlier in the week, and I'm just going to stick with my prediction of, I just kind of feel like this is like the Jets game a little bit. Like, I'm just kind of like, you're playing against a below-average quarterback, not maybe the best throw of the Andy Dalton was solid in the beginning of his career, but obviously not now. I don't think they have they don't really have the weapons outside of McMillan, who's still even a young player at that. I just for me, it's like, I could just kind of see this being a game where they're not playing on Bijan Robinson, they're not playing Derrick Henry, right? These guys are solid backs, above average backs for sure, but I don't know. I think this is kind of you got a week to be fresh. I think the defense is going to come out really motivated. I don't know. I think they're going to be able to stop the run. They're going to be able to limit the run. It's all about the explosives for the Bills. The Bills do a decent job of, creating some negative plays, but they give way too many explosive plays. I don't know. I'm intrigued to see. Matt Milano's questionable. Does he play? But, if Shaq Thompson's in, so is, I think, Bernard. So, but if Shaq Thompson's in there, I think Poyer, maybe he could be at least a little bit better than what you were getting from Rapp.
Yeah, for sure.
I would agree with you. I think maybe you might give up some yards on the ground, but maybe you limit the explosives and
don't let
force Andy Dalton into a couple of
bomb go.
Deion Walker negative plays, and all of a sudden it's second and long. And so I don't know. I haven't. It's weird. I understand everyone's like, this is a bad matchup on paper for the Bills, but for me, it's also like, I don't know, maybe it's not as bad as we're saying it out to be, because I think the Bills played against some really good rushing attacks, some really good running backs.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think,
and then the quarterback-wise, it's like, Rattler's been playing pretty well. Like, I think Andy Dalton, outside of Fields, might be the worst quarterback they've played. Spencer Rattler played pretty well in that game against the Bills, and has been playing mostly pretty well all year.
Yeah.
I know
Rattler surprised everybody. Rattler just kind of showed up and played all right. But I agree with you. Andy Dalton's definitely the second worst. Definitely the second worst.
I feel very Jets game like this to me, where I think the defense actually steps up. I think it's the offense that just kind of has a all right day. Like, I think James Cook's going to be able to run the ball. They're going to throw the ball, maybe to Kincaid a few plays, but maybe I wouldn't make the prediction right. Well, I won't make the prediction right now. We'll wait for the prediction.
We'll wait.
Jump the gun. False start.
We have already kind of spoiled an X Factor, so I mean we can't do that. But speaking of X Factors, we'll have those and MVP picks coming up right after this quick timeout. We'll be right back with more of the Buffalonian Podcast. Welcome back into the Buffalonian Podcast. Time now, after previewing the offensive game script, if you will, the defense, what they need to do to get the win, what we really expect from Carolina's offense and defense. It's time now for the X Factor. Who's going to stand above the rest? Mine, I said, spoiler alert earlier, Dalton Kincaid is definitely up there. If he plays, him and Allen have a pretty good connection and what they're able to do. His value is shown on the field when he's not there versus when he's there. And I think the offseason did him really well, where he's just really electric in every start he makes, pretty much, right? Like, his size is bigger. He's able to move his way down the field. He's getting separation. So if Kincaid's in, he's the big thing on the offense. But since we kind of said that earlier, I'll go a little bit different of a route, just to say another name. If it's going to be Jets game-ish, it's going to be James Cook kind of accounting for a lot of these offensive points, and him being able to have some explosive runs, how he would wiggle out of tackles, stuff like that. I think you'll see a pretty good game from James Cook on this Panthers defense. So it's either Cook or Kincaid. Kincaid probably first pick, Cook second pick for me. What about you?
I think an X factor in the game is going to be the Bills' offensive line. I don't think the Bills' offensive line has played as well as our expectations are for them the last 2 weeks.
No. And compared to last season even, they haven't played as well.
So I think for me, it's like, can they get back to really moving people in the run game? Can they communicate a little bit better against these blitzes if they're going to get them? That's what I want to see. I want to see Osiris Torrance raise his game up a little bit. I want to see them be dominant and control the game. And so I think that's the X factor. The Bills' offensive line can just dominate the Panthers' defensive line. You're getting good run game. You're keeping Josh clean, and he's able to make good decisions, not under pressure. I think the Bills' offense will be fine.
Yeah. No, I absolutely agree. Okay. MVP. Who's going to stand on top of the mountain at the end of the game and be the guy?
The guy? I'll go Ed Oliver.
Okay, I like it.
I think he's back. I think he's obviously he was back last game, but
he's
I think
officially back.
I think he'll officially be back. I think he'll get in the sack column. I think he'll force a fumble. I think it's a big game for Ed Oliver.
All right. Well, we've got a similar look on this. Deion Walker's going to have a legacy game. That's what I expect. He's going to make Andy Dalton's life a living hell back there, and he's going to be able to stop the run. For fantasy purposes, maybe let Rico Dowdle squeak through a couple. That'd be kind of awesome. But Deion Walker's going to be able to take care of business. I think he's going to have one of his best games of the season this week. So it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting, to see what ends up happening with these guys. But I'm just excited Bills football's back. I don't know about you, but there's one final thing. Our predictions coming up for you right after this. Welcome back to the Buffalonian Podcast. Prediction time. Bills, Panthers, Bills on the road in Carolina. They had a good stretch of home games here for a while. Now they're on the road for a good chunk, right? They're kind of not like for the Chiefs next week, but
it feels
a majority of their games
because of the bye. But
what'd you say?
It feels longer because they had the bye, but it's only 2 straight road games.
Oh, it's not too bad then. Not too bad. I'm excited though. Chiefs week coming up after this game. Hopefully they can get a win, stay ahead of the Chiefs there. But we'll see. Dom, this game, from what we've talked about all episode, I got to say, Bills return to form. I think they lay it on. I think they absolutely lay it on them. 38-15. I think there's a 15. I think it's a little goofy. But yeah,
I like
30.
It. My dad thinks they're going to kick their butts. I think this is going to happen. I really do believe this. I think it's going to be 13-10 Bills at the half. And I think some people are going to really panic that it's a 3-point game at the half.
Yeah.
And I think the Bills are just going to come out in the second half and get it done. 34-16. I think the Bills will be dominant in the second half, scoring 3 touchdowns. And again, I will believe this. I believe that the Bills' run defense will show up, and it'll be the first time since the Jets game that we are like, wow, an actual positive, an up arrow is this Bills rush defense. However, I think we'll be talking about how Josh threw for under 200 yards.
Yeah.
That's my prediction.
It'll be the Jets game.
Bills win, Josh throws for under 200, they get the ground game going again, and the Bills defense comes to play, forces a couple turnovers. The Bills offense kind of do what they do against the Jets, but they cashed on the short fields, maybe had some long developing drives, but nothing sexy. So 34-16 Bills.
Gotcha. All right. I like it. Similar predictions out of you and me by the end, but the halftime
we'll see if that's a good sign or not.
I'll be halftime. If it's 13-10 at halftime, I think the world's going to burn down in Buffalo. People are going to be all over the place, but we'll see. We'll see what happens.
I'll give one more hot take. I think if Jordan Poyer starts, he gets a pick.
Okay. All right. We'll see if the old man can keep up and actually get his hands on the ball. That's going to be it, legitimately. And see if he doesn't spear anybody and get ejected from the game because he can't keep up with them. But we'll see. I don't know. Jordan Poyer playing meaningful snaps for the Bills in 2025 is a crazy thing to be talking about. But I don't know. What are you going to do? It's Bills season. They're back. No more bye week to worry about. It's all downhill from here. The road to the playoffs has never been more back. So we'll see. We'll see what they do. That's going to do it for this edition of the Buffalonian Podcast. It's betting on the Bills. Stay tuned next week. A couple of the new things are going to be coming at you. Tier list on Wednesday. NFL teams. We're going to stack them up. Maybe we'll do a player one too. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what we think. We're gonna cook something up over the time here, and then some betting stuff, maybe some fantasy stuff. Get a lot more of the Buffalonian Podcast, and we'll let you know whether it's video only or not, or if you can catch it anywhere you get your podcast. But Dom, how do we always end these, buddy?
Go Bills, baby.
Go Bills.